What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two Nick Chicks. I'm your girl, Lady and the Chef. I'm joined by my co-host this evening.
Devalox 21, what's up?
Another day, another vlog, another day that we get to go on. We haven't done a weekday vlog in a long time, but as we both know, it's playoff times for the WNBA. The Liberty just had a great first round. They beat Atlanta, swept them. It's the best out of three in the first round, which I'm not really a fan of. It's a little bit too quick and nerve wracking if your team doesn't win that first game. But the Liberty were able to prevail. And it helped that the Liberty had home court advantage, which helps when you finish at the top of the league at number one. But the Liberty were able to handle business on Tuesday, and then they played again on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they played Sunday rather on the September 22nd, and they played again on Tuesday. Um, I will say Atlanta came out on Tuesday very quick pace, very fast, but nonetheless, the Liberty were able to still stay within at least seven within that game. What were your thoughts on round one against Atlanta?
Well, definitely that game one, man. It was scary. And as I mentioned that Sunday, because Atlanta had played New York Thursday,
Hmm.
the previous Thursday. So they won. It was the last game of the season, the regular season. So Atlanta won. Now, and as I mentioned, it gave them momentum. So they came out Sunday. They were the more aggressive team in the beginning. Um, it was like everything was just going their way. And so it was kind of like scary. I'm like, yo, y'all can't drop this game because then now you're forced to win game two and three. And then you got to go back to if you got to win game two, now you go back to Atlanta. I mean, yeah, they are the better team, but we all know the game is outruns and who's imposing their will. So that game one was nerve wracking. Game two, I can say the same thing because Alicia Gray found her mojo. She was all clicking on all cylinders. Um, Tina Charles, yeah, so they were in sync and they did, came out aggressive. It was, kind of up and down. Um, however, Sabrina, um, she found her mojo and she was like unstoppable. And this is like the Sabrina that we know and we're used to seeing and playing. And it was like, and then now the wheels started clicking. John Quell, we always, say about her little passing, but she had 13 boys. So I mean, the Liberty, it was like they forced Atlanta to play their style. And that's how and then they imposed their will on them. So that game too was, in the beginning, they let a half Atlanta. So, Liberty was like, they was like, no, we're better than this. We're capable of getting this game. This is not how we're gonna go out. So they found their, rhythm. Um, and then they just blew them open. But for somebody to be an AC, I gotta say Atlanta gave them a run for them, and that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I don't. It wasn't a cakewalk for the Liberty. I don't think so. Especially game one, they won them, beat them 2-0. But I don't know, Atlanta. They didn't go down easy. They put up a fight, and so when you see something like that, HC them, it, you know that there's a lot of things that they have to, you know, work on because they're facing the four and it gets tougher. So, but overall, they made it through. Announced the semis, and this was definitely going to be a tough matchup.
Yeah, um I thought every team in the first round that were the lower seeded team gave the better seeded team a run for their money.
Oh,
So
sure.
whether
Okay.
it was Atlanta playing New York, I thought Atlanta absolutely did give New York a run for their money. I thought when it came to Vegas playing Seattle, Seattle could have played them better, just like all the teams that got knocked out of the first round. But I thought that Seattle gave Vegas a run for their money because first game, the first matchup, Seattle, the first half, they were playing excellent. And then yesterday's game, I thought Seattle found a way to come back. I was like, oh, this is
Hmm.
probably going to blow away. But they were like neck
Yeah.
and neck in that game. So that was like, and then the same thing with Minnesota playing Phoenix. Phoenix was in that game for the most part in both games. So until Minnesota blew away, and the same thing with Connecticut and Indiana, it was a close game for the most part. So
Yeah.
every first round game was actually very interesting and very close. It wasn't like it was just like, oh, it was just a little too easy. It was boring,
Yeah.
a boring matchup or series to watch. So I thought round one was very good and entertaining in that right. I will say for round two, though, all the teams that I predicted that would be in the playoffs or vying for that championship spot are in the
Yeah.
semifinals
Yeah.
round.
They
So
moved on.
every
Yeah.
team, right, that I said was going to be there is there. Now, as far as round one against Atlanta, I thought the Liberty played a fairly good game. I didn't have many critiques. There was a couple of like miscommunication errors where, maybe one person was cut into the basket and said whoever had the ball was trying to throw a bounce pass and the other person cut instead of standing there for the pass. I just thought it was little things like that. But for overall, I thought that the Liberty played very solid and aggressive basketball. You know, when you're playing against a player like Tina Charles, who's a vet in this league, who's excellent at her craft, she's hard to stop. I've talked to you about my gripe sometimes with Jonquel, where when she has to face against those aggressive, high scoring centers in a league like a Tina Charles, now we go on to the semifinals round and they have to play, she has to guard Asia Wilson. There's a little concern for me there. And it's not because Jonquel can't play defense, but I think sometimes she plays lazy defense. And I think not just her, but the whole team. Like you can't play lazy defense when I watched the Vegas Seattle game. Vegas was playing at a very high tempo. It was a very quick pace game, quick ball movements. It wasn't come down the floor one time, one pass, and then shoot. They were sharing the basketball. And when teams share the basketball, Minnesota does this well too. When you move the ball around and at least the other four players touch it, you lose the defense
Yeah.
because either the defense is worried about double teaming, now there's someone open, or they're rattled because you're swinging a ball around from side to side, and that works in your favor. And Vegas did an excellent job of doing that against Seattle, but they also played a very high tempo game. And this is why I said you can't count the Las Vegas Aces out. Even though they didn't have the best regular season, sometimes teams like that they come alive in the playoffs because they're looking for a three-peat. They're looking to get their third championship back to back in a row. So I just think when we go into the semifinals round, which game one of the second round starts on Sunday, um, I think the Liberty have to figure out a way, even though granted the Liberty have beat Vegas all three matchups in the regular season. But to me, that was the regular season. I know you touched on this. The playoffs is like a fresh start season within that hub of the playoffs. And my thing is that I don't want the Liberty to come out flat. You know how sometimes teams like one round they'll play great high energy quick, and then the second round, there's two things that I hope that doesn't happen because the Liberty have been on a break since technically yesterday. That sometimes when players have too many days off and then they go and play the game, after being off for 4 days or whatever, you're like a step too slow or
Yeah.
you're
You're
not
kind of rusty. Yeah.
right because you haven't played. Sure, they've been practicing, but there's a difference. So that's something that is a little concerning for me when we go into that game on Sunday against Vegas. And then I think that the Liberty have to be prepared for Vegas kind of doing like what Atlanta did in game two of round one and trying to take Phoebus, get Phoebus in foul trouble, get Jonquel Jones in foul trouble, and hell, maybe get somebody else in foul trouble. Maybe I would even say Laney in foul trouble. So if not Sabrina or Stewie. So I think the Liberty just have to be prepared that Vegas is going to come out super aggressive. I think Vegas, although the Liberty have beat them throughout the regular season, I think Vegas is looking at the Liberty like I said to you before. They choke on the games that matter. We can beat them. We beat them last year in Brooklyn. So why can't we beat them again this year? And I think the Liberty need to be prepared for that. And I think they have to come in with a chip on their shoulders and be upset and angry and mad that you allow Vegas to beat you when you could have tied it and went back into Vegas and possibly won the championship round. So I'm excited to see the matchup against Vegas. I think it's imperative that the Liberty take the first two games, and you have to, even though it's the best out of five in round two and in the finals, it does move from the best of three to the best out of five. But I think it's so important that the Liberty take the first two games. And even if Vegas takes the third game, you have to take the next game. You can't allow them to tie it up. So I think my biggest thing is that the Liberty don't lose gas, that they don't get flat, even with their shots. You know what I mean? But just in general, I think the energy has to be high, like it was when they played against Atlanta. I don't know how you feel about the Liberty going against Vegas in game two, but what do you feel like? What is it going to take for the Liberty to beat Vegas?
Well, definitely the matchup. For me, like I said, Sabrina, she's on one. She's found her rhythm. She has to continue to stay aggressive. Um, and don't fold. Not that she will, but we both saw that thing what she said about like Spike Lee. So that comment. So it's like she has to continue, where she left off at. Just you can't skip a beat.
Mhm.
Um, I think there's going to definitely be a lot of switching, with Vegas as far as the defensive coverage. Um, you may see, I don't know. I just see that because Kia Stokes ain't no match for John Quell. So,
No.
but now they may try to throw different coverage. So it's how they're going to react to Vegas defensive coverage. Because it will be, and I could see it now because the matchups are in, for me, the Liberty favor. And also, definitely if Phoebus start, which I think she's
Yeah,
starting
she's
for
definitely going to start.
yeah, because they need another ball handler. They need that size. They need someone who could defend, multiple. And she's that person. So that's I think is gonna give them like a hiccup, the Aces, because yeah, they saw what Phoebus did in game one, and and then they figured, well, let's try to shut it down. But I think overall, just her length and her size is an advantage for the Liberty. Um, like you said, they have to definitely impose their will. Um, you got two MVPs that's going like head to head. Brandon won last year and Stewie Asia this year, and so they both uh what's that two three between MVPs there's five Stewie two and Asia three. So I think that's gonna be like you know, Stewie struggled last year in the playoffs, so I think she has to definitely, find that rhythm because we know Asia's on a tear.
Yeah,
Like,
she's not missing no shots.
yeah, yeah.
She's
I
not
mean,
missing no shots.
she's not. And prior to the playoffs, Vegas won 9 out of 10. So they found their more to say it's just up to the Liberty to match that intensity and just play with a chip on your shoulder, because quite frankly, they do have a chip on their shoulder. You know that players was like right there for their for the taking last season, last year, but they, they fell short, so they do have a chip. I can, it's definitely going to be a good matchup. Laney, she definitely has to play with aggression, but without fouling. Um, but it kind of limits her because she seems like she's not as aggressive because she just coming back from the knee surgery, and she remember she ran into John Cross. So it's kind of like, I'm kind of timid in a way. So, but I
I
think
don't see that. To me, she looks aggressive. She don't look like she's. To me, Blaney don't even look like she had knee surgery. The
no,
way
she
she's
don't. But
playing is very aggressive. I think if anything, maybe she's probably not trying to foul because maybe Sandy Brondello, maybe the assistant coaches are like, we can't have too many people in foul trouble.
yeah,
And they rely on her for her defensive presence because usually Laney, for example, Laney may be guarding Jackie Young. They
yeah,
may have her on Jackie Young because you need to hold Jackie Young. She could randomly start firing up three
yeah,
pointers. But I think also the Liberty need to make Vegas uncomfortable. Like I feel like a lot of teams that match up against Asia Wilson, who's a phenomenal player, I don't see her uncomfortable. I don't feel like she has to work hard. She's working hard to grab offensive and defensive rebounds, but I don't feel like nobody's making her uncomfortable and have to work hard
yeah,
offensively to get her shot. She's catching it by the side of the free throw line and she's making them shots that she makes, or she's getting the ball down low in the paint. She's going to a spin move and then she's knocking down a shot or she's doing a fadeaway shot and she's knocking
yeah.
down easy perimeter close baskets. But I don't feel like, and the thing is that like with John Quell, she doesn't play a lot from the outside. Rather, she doesn't play defense that far out. John Quell tends to stay closer to the basket. And I feel like with um Asia, you have to be on top of her. Like make it hard for her to even get the basketball. And if John Quell doesn't do that, yes, John Quell needs to be get a double double for the Liberty to be able to win. Absolutely. Stewie, yes, we don't need her to shy. We don't need anyone in the Liberty to get quiet, to be passive. But I also think what doesn't need to happen is that Stewie, if let's just say she ends up on fire and then everyone else is quiet.
Yeah,
That can't happen either. It can't be Brianna Stewart got 29 points at the halftime or 29 points at the top of the third
yeah,
quarter. And
yeah,
John Quell only got 7, 8 points. Sabrina only got about 8 to 10 points. That's not going to win you the game. We need balanced scoring for us to get past Vegas. But also, I think another thing that the Liberty have to be prepared for, and I've seen this with the Liberty matchup against Vegas, and I've seen this with other teams matching up against Vegas. When the Liberty, whoever on the Liberty decides, I want to drive to the basket, guess what? You need to protect that ball. Because unfortunately, we have some players that are like Josh Hart. When they drop to that basket, it's very predictable. The basketball is not protected and covered. So you
yeah.
have Chelsea Gray, who got hands like Kyle Lowry, and she taps the
She's
ball
quite,
away so well that
she's
she
quite.
does it so well, it bounces off of the player, their knee or their chest, and now they end up getting the ball.
Yep.
And little plays like that that I see Vegas, like Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray, they'll do. And if the Liberty don't play like if you're gonna drive, do it with authority. You gotta be aggressive. You gotta come in here with Alyssa Thomas has that LeBron James strength. She's like a bulldozer. You got to get out her way because she's so strong. She's gonna fling you across the court, and that's the kind of like John Quell. She's very strong.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you
yeah.
getting, if John Quell's gonna get the rebound, you can't do this and put it down because Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, one of them's gonna tap that ball right from you. And let's not forget about Tiffany Hayes. She's their X factor. She's their Phoebish. So they put her in. That's the whole point of why Becky went overseas to go grab her. She was retired. So if
Hmm.
she comes in a game and you allow Tiffany Hayes to score 15, 20 plus points, it's a wrap. It's a
Yeah,
wrap.
yeah, agree. You know, it, and they beat the Aces, 3-0, you know, and you hear, oh, because X, Y, and Z, Jackie Young didn't, no, Chelsea Gray didn't play the first game. She was out. Um,
And there was
Asia
Asia and
Wilson
another one.
out the eighth or so, and then Jackie Young. So it's like, okay, now they have full strength. The Liberty are at full strength. So, you don't, and that's true. The Aces are at full strength. So now again, the Liberty, now they have to, counter punch because they're coming in your home. So now you have to protect your home.
But
Um,
the Liberty played them with everybody there.
no, the first game, no.
No, no, I know. There was a game where Asia was out, and there was a separate game where Chelsea was out, and then there was a game where they both played, and the Liberty
No,
still beat
no.
them. But
Actually, Ray was out June when they played in the first game. Jackie Young was out in August, and then so Wilson was Asia was out
Jackie
in
Young is
September.
not really a.
No, I know
She's
that.
not.
No,
Go
no.
ahead.
My point is because you know, not that they, they saying, well, because they, they had a missing a player, for each game that the Liberty won. So now my thing is that they are full strength. The Aces are there, so this is, and I don't know if the Aces are using that excuse as an excuse, but they probably say, oh, because we had a player missing. So just go ahead and beat them. And so you could shut that noise. That's my point. Just go ahead and beat them. So now it's like, well, what is the reason now? What is the excuse? So that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, the Liberty definitely have to. I think the Liberty have to prove also not just to themselves, but the Liberty have to prove to, I think, in the critics, because the Liberty are in the same stance like the New York Knicks. Until you win a championship, you're not going to be a respected team or a respected organization. Do I think that players and other teams in the league look at the Liberty like they are a good team? I heard Kelsey Plum was did a quick interview after the win against Seattle, and they asked her like, "What are you, looking forward to the next round against the Liberty, this rematch against them? Like, how are you feeling about entering that round?" And she was like, the Liberty definitely got better compared to where they were last year. She was like, so we're not sleeping on them because they are the number one team for a reason. Like, they're good. She was like, but I just think that we have to play our A game and be prepared for them because they're going to come and attack us. And the same way the Liberty punched Atlanta in the mouth and in the face and didn't stop, you have to do that against Vegas, because what we've seen with Vegas, their only really threat is Asia Wilson. Sure, Chelsea Gray is an excellent facilitator and point guard, but they feed off of Asia Wilson. And we've
Yeah,
seen where they other players have been cold. Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, Kia Stokes may get you a couple of baskets underneath, but we've seen them be cold and dried out. So if they're not doing anything, Asia Wilson could score 40 points, 45, 50 points if she wants. It may not be enough for them to get the W, but I think with the Liberty, what's going to help them win this next round, this semifinals round against Vegas and boot them out, is that the Liberty have to play team ball. They have to execute at a high level. They have to be very minimal errors in the game, low turnovers, smart basketball IQ. They have to play at a quick pace from the jump ball every
yep,
quarter, all 4 quarters. You got to come out strong in the third quarter and finish the game off strong. Even and then if you have a lead, they have to maintain that lead. That's so imperative that you maintain the lead if you are able to get a lead. I don't care if the lead if you're only up by 7 points, 8 points, because that's still not a lot. As you said, basketball is a game of runs, which is very true. But if the Liberty don't come out aggressive against Vegas, Vegas mentality is what we were saying was going to happen with Atlanta. They're already confident because they beat us in Barclays already for the championship round. And
Yeah.
what's crazy is they were able to do that, and Chelsea Gray was hurt. But the Liberty got real passive, was making mistakes. It just was like sloppy and just very confusing as you were watching as a fan. You didn't understand what was going on. But I think for them to be able to do that again, and we taking it round by round, you got to get out of this round. It's imperative that the Liberty get out the semifinals round because you can't be the number one team and then fall short. You can't make the finals last year and then fall short this year. You can't. You have to get out of this round. I don't care if Vegas have won the championship the last 2 years. So what? Boot them out. It's like you always say, every team is beatable no matter what. So I don't want the Liberty going in as underdogs, even though they are. I like them being the underdogs because right now I'm very confident that when it comes to that matchup, everyone's counting on Vegas to beat the Liberty.
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
even heard on ESPN, Stephen A was like, I always root for all my New York teams when it comes to sports. He said, but he said I don't see the Liberty beating Vegas. He said because Asia Wilson's too strong, too powerful. He said they're too strong together as a team. They're going for a three-peat, and he said I just don't see them beating. I don't see the Liberty beating them, and I'm just like, wow, that's real positive.
Exactly. Like,
That's really
but you
positive,
vote for all your New York teams. Yep, that's what he did. Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So I know that when it comes to that matchup, and it's just like with the matchup with Connecticut and Minnesota, I'm sure most people got Minnesota winning that, So the Liberty, and I think it's kind of the matchups this year is interesting because if the Liberty are able to knock out Vegas, it takes away that narrative of, oh, it's going to be the Liberty and the Aces in the final round. You know what I mean? Because people were like, oh, it can't be because either one of them are going to get booted out. But the Liberty have to knock out Vegas, and you have to start that by winning the first two games.
It's no either one of them. The Aces are going to get booted out.
Right. No, I was saying like it's not going to
Yeah,
be that
I know.
matchup because they're
Hmm.
both playing each other, but the Liberty you have to take the first two games. And then
Yeah,
you can get comfortable because so what? We've seen in playoff series where teams in the NBA, WNBA, you win that team will win the first two games. All of a sudden, the other team will win the next two games. Don't allow that to happen. You have to win those first two games. And if you drop that third one in Vegas, because see, that's what'll make it sweeter. And then if you play the next two in Vegas, if you can get that game four in Vegas, man, and that's your best out of five right there for the Liberty.
yeah, no, I agree. Like, you know, we out rebounded them, and that's to our advantage, because just with JJ being a monster on the boards, but again, like I say, that's in the past. This is a new series. We
Exactly.
can't what transpired in the regular season. So, just again, just like you said, they have to come out aggressive. And now it's like impose your will. Don't let them come into the garden, um, and just just chucking up shots and just everything is going their way. Like they say, it's good defense but better offense. Well, we'll make them uncomfortable. Like let them make them earn those points. Like you said with Asia, she seems to you know I know she's a phenomenal player. She's gonna definitely get hers, but make her earn them. Make her as uncomfortable as possible. You know, do some switching because I know the Aces are gonna definitely come out with a lot of switching. Um, you may see Laney and Young, or maybe Young and Sabrina, or something like that. Defensively. And so you got to take them out of their game, and it's doable. You know, I just feel that they just these are things that they definitely have to do. Um, ball movement. That's gonna be key. Like you said, you was watching how they were playing. Seattle, just every the touches and everything. So, and I think that's in key. That's key because now the defense has to react to you. Um, you know, they're beatable. So
Yeah, I think the Liberty have to make sure that they also don't miss easy baskets. You can't be directly under the basket and then you miss a layup or you miss a close basket. Like that can't happen. But Vegas is definitely going to look to throw the outlet pass. They're going to look to run the ball and have a lot of fast break points.
transition, yep.
Yeah, they're definitely going to look to run and have the pace really fast and up tempo. And I think the Liberty have to be prepared for that because what's going to happen is it's either going to end up being Courtney Vandersloot or Phoebish who's going to have to try to run. And now they have to decide, do I foul or let the fast break point, just let them score the fast break point? You know what
Hmm.
I mean? So I think that you don't want that to happen, or Sabrina comes down, we make one pass, she chucks up a three, we miss it. Kelsey Plum grabs the board, she throws it down the floor to Jackie Young or whoever. You know, you just can't allow that to happen. I think that it's little things like that that you have to be ready for. So I just want the Liberty to protect the home court floor in Barclays, win those first two games because that's so important that they win it. And Vegas is not going to panic if the Liberty do take the first two games. You
Oh
know,
no.
Vegas is going to make her adjustments. They're definitely going to come out. You know, the refs are definitely going to be on their side when they go to Vegas, and they're going to have a friendlier whistle when they're back home. I also hope that the refs call the game well because sometimes the refs are like, I don't even know where they find the refs for the WNBA, but I just want to see the Liberty take control, be aggressive, come out with authority. Don't be a pushover. Don't allow Vegas to come in and think that they can do whatever they want to do because we're not having that. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to Sunday's matchup. I will be also watching a matchup of Minnesota
Oh, for sure.
versus Connecticut because I think that's going to be a really great series as well. Minnesota, I have to say, like, I'm a Liberty fan true and through, but Minnesota is so disciplined. I like their discipline isn't, they play like, like a Swiss Army team. Like just the way they play is just so everyone's locked in and on the same page. And Nafisa Collier is just like, I think what she's doing is what Asia Wilson did this year, and that y'all gonna vote for me for the MVP for next year.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well,
Because y'all,
she
and I'm not saying Asia didn't deserve it, because she definitely balled out and deserved it. But what Nafisa Collier is doing this whole season, not just these past few games, and not just because Minnesota's been on a tear since the All-Star break, but just what she does and the way she plays is simple basketball, but it's executed at a high level.
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
lazy, sloppy basketball. It's not boring. It's a little boring, but it's like these are moves that she's worked on. You can tell she's truly worked on her craft. And she's another one like Asia Wilson. She lives close to the basket, but she can hit like Asia. They can knock down the three. And
Yep.
speaking of three, I don't want to see Jonko Jones shooting threes so loosey goosey in this round. I really don't. Like one or two here and there, cool, but I don't want to see a lot of threes from her. I don't really want to see a lot of threes from anybody. I want to see the Liberty attack the paint and get Vegas in foul trouble. Get them in foul trouble. The Liberty got to play that way because they didn't really do that against Atlanta.
No, they didn't.
Not attack the paint. Tina Charles barely had fouls. Alicia Gray, Ryan Howard, no one really had fouls because they weren't attacking. And see, Vegas is going to attack. They drive to the basket. Kelsey Plum loves attacking to the basket, and she's going to be trying to shoot the lights out with the 3-point shot.
Mhm.
That's why I don't really want to see Courtney Vandersloot on Kelsey Plum. She can't guard her. She's
Yeah, and
fast. She gets
unfortunately,
past her. I understand that you're gonna have Phoebus on her, but when she goes to the bench, they have to figure out. I don't know. Maybe you need to put KT or KB on her. Somebody has to get on her, and I don't want to see Courtney on her on Kelsey Plum.
mhm. Yeah, unfortunate, the bench, they definitely have to make some type of solid contribution because they got Alicia Clark coming up the bench. They
Mhm.
got Sid, they got Hayes. So they got scorers coming up the bench and they're gonna definitely make some contributions. So the Liberty's bench has to be like click, they have to click and be locked in.
Yeah,
Um because that's potentially whether it's 15 or whatever it's 10 12 any 12 15 points, so that's something that's definitely going to be needed um for that bench. They haven't made much of an impact, but it's imperative that they get out there and score.
yeah, I agree. I think that the Liberty bench, sometimes I think the role players play within their role well. Like Kayla Thornton, you see her do a lot of the little things, like
Mhm.
get us the second, third chance opportunity for a rebound. She's willing to make sure she doesn't step out of bounds, but she'll save the ball and for us to give us a second, third chance opportunity. And Kennedy Burke's the same too. I think with Kayla Thornton, and I brought this up to you, her 3-point shot has been off. Hopefully,
Oh,
she could find her mojo against Vegas and she's able to knock down the three, but her threes have been off. And Kennedy Burke, I can't say that hers has been off. I think Kennedy Burke needs to work on her three in
work.
the off season because if
Agree.
she can add that under her belt and the Liberty keep her, she'll be a great asset to add towards adding points to the scoreboard for the Liberty. But I think that between KT and KB, um, Sabali has to be
Yeah.
aggressive when she comes in as well because I'm sure she's going to get pivotal minutes against Vegas. They're going to need her for her height,
Yeah.
gather rebounds for us. And maybe like some teams have been doing, they've been sleeping on Sabali and leaving her open because they're so worried about what John Cole's the only strong center, scoring center that they have. So if you can hit her, you know, I mean, come on. And again, when I remember watching like the first two games against Atlanta, and I was like thinking to myself, I said, even during at one point during the first game, I said, I had a strong feeling the Liberty were going to be facing Vegas, but I said the Aces is not going to play that loose of defense against the Liberty. They're not going to make those kind of mistakes or that many turnovers like
Yeah.
Atlanta did. So I'm like, the Liberty have to be ready to take it to the next level because round one, while it was tough and Atlanta gave the Liberty a run for their money, it was, you know, I don't know, it was an easy grab. And I agree with you. Yes, the Liberty beat Vegas during the season, but that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Like Vegas is gonna come out and be like, yeah, y'all thought it was gonna be like those first three games y'all beat us. It's not.
Hmm.
You know what
Oh,
I
now
mean?
we
You're
definitely
gonna
gonna see a,
right,
a new look Vegas.
right.
Like I said, they won their last 9 out of 10. So now I'm counting these two playoff games. So that's 11 out of 12. So again, they're clicking. Not that the Liberty aren't, but just that, you know, their mentality, and which is rightfully so, they're the defended champions.
Right,
And so there's no lie, they are. And
right.
two-time at that. So that's their mentality coming into the garden. So
They're
now,
very confident.
oh yeah,
They're
for sure.
very confident. And I think they're even more confident, believe it or not, in this round because while with Seattle they were like, oh, but I think with this round in particular, they're inside, they're laughing at the Liberty because they're like, we already beat them. Like they're
Hmm.
not going to be able to beat us in this round. So I just need the Liberty to handle business and have solid scoring. The last game, round Round one, game two against Atlanta. Stewie played 38 minutes. She had 13 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Benijah had played 33 minutes. She only had 5 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds. Jonquel Jones played 35 minutes, finished with a double double. She had 20 points, 13 rebounds. Sabrina was on fire. She played 39 minutes. She only rested 40 seconds. She had 36 points, 9 assists. Leonie Febish had played 22 minutes, had 9 points. Courtney played 16 minutes. She had 4 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. And Kayla Thornton played 13 minutes and had 4 rebounds. I'm not really happy with I guess with Sabrina's 36, John Close 20, and Stewie's 13. I think we need a little bit more from Stewie, and we need a little bit more from Benijah. And if Phoebish would have had more, but she had got in foul trouble.
Foul
She had
trouble.
3 fouls too early. So I think when you look at those numbers and you look at what needs to happen against Vegas, the Liberty have to definitely. I think the scoring needs to be a bit more balanced. Um, if you're trying to move past the next round, because shockingly, we beat Atlanta the first game, but Jonquel Jones didn't have a double double. In game one against Atlanta, she only had 9 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and she played less minutes. Benijah had 10 points, 5 assists. Stewie had 20 points, 11 rebounds. Leonie had 21 points. Sabrina had 17, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. But that was better balanced scoring.
Yeah.
What I mean, whereas in game two, it was kind of like, eh. So I just think that the Liberty have to get a little bit of something from everybody has to contribute.
All
Everyone
right.
has to contribute. For them to be able to pull off this win. But nonetheless, I got the Liberty beating Vegas. I know my nerves are going to be all over the place because it's going to be a nerve wracking game. So the game one of the semi round two is Sunday, and then game two is on Tuesday. So I'm not sure what time is game one, what time it starts. It's probably an early game if I would imagine. I don't think
Mhm.
it's a late game. But yeah, the Liberty just have to take at least the first two
It's
games.
at 3 o'clock.
Oh, okay. So not bad. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with the Liberty. I pray for good health for everybody, that they all are able to keep it together. And I really want to see the Liberty come out with high energy. I don't want to see like we'll try to get it the next game or this game of I don't want to see a game of catch up. The whole game where Vegas is up by double digits or more and the Liberty are trying to cut into it and the closest they'll get is 7-6. Like we don't have time for that, you know. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, I just need the Liberty to go back to the finals and win
For
it.
sure. They're more than capable. I believe, and they are. They go back.
Right. So we'll see. But we'll be back on Sunday to do a pregame before the game. And yeah, we'll see what happens with the Liberty and then we'll be recovering that first game because I know there'll be a lot to break down and watch that game because I'm definitely going to be watching a lot of not just what the Liberty are going to be doing, but I will be keeping my eye on what Vegas is doing as far as who's doing what with the Liberty, what adjustments the Liberty have to make. And I think the Liberty coaching staff do a good job of their adjustments. Like Sandy, not just during the game with timeouts, but she usually they watch film, they're watching and they make the proper adjustments. So I'm sure after game one, they'll be looking to see what adjustments they need to make.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off the adjustments, and that's what I like about Coach Brondello. She don't let the game get too far ahead
Mm-hmm.
of where it's out of reach. She calls those times out, regroup, they gather there, whatever. Sometimes it may come out, it's a waste of possession, but
Right.
that doesn't happen often. But
No.
they come out from that timeout and they score. They're
Mm-hmm.
not perfect, so it can be a waste of possession at some time, but again, it don't happen often. So I like that about her.
Yeah. I I think it's gonna be, I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be a high scoring game, but then I feel like it also depends on the Liberty, but it also depends on how the refs are calling it. Because if they're blowing a whistle for every little thing, it takes away the mojo from the game as well. Like I think you got to let them be physical. These are both two very physical teams,
Yeah.
so I don't know. We'll see, but yeah, we'll be tuned into the game. We'll be back to recap it. Anything else for you before we get out of here?
No, definitely, hit that like button. Leave a comment. We do respond. Sometimes it's not what our podcast is not, it's not for the faint of heart. We try to, bring, like you said, bring the raw. We're unapologetic. We're not going to be biased against, the Liberty. We try to, as podcasters, spectators, former players, just ballers and lovers of the game, you know, we we bring our assessment, um and it's not always in the Liberty's favor because they're not perfect, so leave your comments. We will, respond back to them. So that we love that because it's a debate. It's a healthy debate. So and we definitely appreciate that. Just hitting us up or whatever. It's greatly appreciated. But nah, after that, it's just like all Liberty from here.
Yeah, and we didn't forget about the Knicks. The Knicks will have like an entire long tenure of months to talk about all NBA, all things Knicks, all things. I think the Knicks right now, with the couple of things that's been in the news, now there's some more things to talk about with the Knicks. So that during the summer it was a little slow. It was the off season. It wasn't much happening, and we did cover a lot throughout the summer with the Knicks. But now that we are back full time, we'll be talking about more things with the Knicks. So we're wrapping up, getting close to wrapping it up the WNBA season, and September came and gone and went like it has somewhere to be. So October will be here. Preseason will be starting for the Knicks. So we'll be diving into that. And there's some things that we do need to talk about with the Knicks, with Mitchell Robinson news. And I don't know if you got a chance because I didn't check it out yet, but Julius Randle has his own YouTube channel now. So I didn't get to watch his video. Yeah, last I saw it had at least 30,000 views already. So yeah, it's like a behind the scenes kind of thing. So I do want to check it out. I'm sure if you just type in his name, it'll come
Mm-hmm.
up. But he has his own YouTube channel. So I want to watch that. And just some other things that we want to go over as far as like the Knicks being ready to compete. And, once preseason starts and we see how they're playing and the season starts, the season opener against Boston and we jump into um, the, what is it called? The in season tournament, and things like that. It'll make for a great conversation and you'll see us pop up on others' podcasts. And yeah, so we'll dive into the Knicks. We have plenty of time to talk about that. Um, and much more. So yeah, check us out. We are back on Sundays, Thursdays. Yeah, Sunday, Tuesdays, Thursdays. So no, Sundays and Thursdays because Steve Locks has a class. So but yeah, check us out. We'll be back. You see, we came on today. So Sunday mornings, we're on at 11 and we come through with like the morning uh, news for Knicks or Liberty. So shout out to everybody who joined us. Those of you who in the chat, shout out to Wonder Woman and those of you who are watching and to the replay gang for watching us. We appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on Sunday. Have a great start to your weekend and a great weekend. And we'll see everybody Sunday. Peace,
Yeah.
everybody.